everybody. I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. Thank you so much for inviting me into your home tonight. And I'm just so excited to be finally thinking in terms of some little bit warmer weather and things that we can prepare for spring and summer in terms of entertaining friends or having family over. So as you can see, I'm just in front of this huge, bountiful display of fruit. I just want to wrap my arms around it. The aroma is fantastic. And tonight I'm going to give you a quick and simple menu for a delicious Southern supper or a light luncheon if you're going to have the girlfriends over, or even after church. We're going to start with a fruit salad that's using all kinds of fresh fruits. I'm going to do a mint, honey, and lime dressing that's going to go with that to toss it up. Then we're going to move into the vegetable department and do a strudel that has grated zucchini and yellow squash, a great strudel on the top that you do with phyllo dough. So if you've never worked with that before, you're going to want to tune in and see an easy way to make that a little bit simpler. And then finally, you know that leftover ham that you always have that you don't know what to do other than make a sandwich or maybe throw the bone in and do some soup? Well, tonight we're going to do an asparagus and ham casserole. It'll be a great go-to for you when you have ham left over, and something that's just a little different and uses that meat that we seem to forget when it comes to mealtime. So let's get started with this fruit salad and the dressing that goes with it. All right, so everything is a fourth. We've got a fourth of a cup of honey, and you know, in Augusta, you can get local honey all over the place. Lots of people are harvesting honey now. So if you see a little stand on the side of the road, be sure to stop and get the local honey. I've heard that it kind of cures the allergies a little bit. I'm not quite sure about that yet, but I may try it. I'm sure many of you suffer with the allergies here in Augusta as well. Okay, a fourth of a cup of minced fresh mint, and then a fourth of a cup of freshly squeezed lime juice. And when you're doing the lime juice, you want to take your lime or your lemon and just roll it with your hands to get that juices kind of going before you squeeze it. All right, so we're just going to mix this together. And this is a little bit on the thick side when you first start with it, but it all starts to blend together. So I'm going to set that aside while we look at some of these wonderful fruits and how we're going to prepare those. All right, there's nothing better than melon when you're talking about a fruit salad. And I know it's wasteful to do the beautiful watermelon balls or the cantaloupe balls, but it's so much fun and it adds some character to the salad. And this is something that the kids will love. So just pick up one of these melon ballers at the grocery store. And when you do this, you want to just take the round edge up and go straight down, just press. And then that's when you turn the handle straight up and just make a circle, and you get the perfect melon ball. So again, it's straight down, turn the handle straight up to the ceiling, and turn, and you're going to get that perfect melon ball. And you know, when watermelon is not quite in season yet, it might not be as full of flavor as what you're used to in the summertime. This dressing is going to enhance that flavor. The lime is going to pull the natural sugars out of it. It's going to be really good. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here with the cantaloupe. Make a few of those. And as you can see on the counter, I've got fresh strawberries, I've got kiwi fruit, red grapes. And so what I've tried to do is do a lot of different colors that you'll see displayed in the place setting that we do tonight. On strawberries, I want to be sure to point out that when you go to pick those up, you know, you're looking at the top and they all look so red and beautiful. Always turn that plastic container upside down and look at the ones that are on the bottom. That's where one might be hiding that's started to mold, and you also will see if they're too ripe. If you're not going to use them right away, you might want to get one that's not quite as ripe. All right, so I'm going to get all of this going in a bowl. We're going to wait until the last minute to toss it up, and when we come back from the break, I'm going to get started on that delicious strudel with zucchini and squash. So come back with me in just a few minutes. Welcome back, and that fruit salad, oh my goodness, it just smells so good and it looks beautiful. I got all the fruit in the bowl. I just did all my different layers, tossed it really well with my hands, and then I added the dressing to it. And remember that the lime in there is going to keep the apples from turning brown. It's going to soak through that fruit, and that mint is just going to be wonderful. Now the star fruit is something that I have to say honestly, I don't really love to eat, but I love to decorate with it. I use it a lot on cheese trays, but the kids will think that's so special with the stars just coming out of the top. So just drizzle a little bit of the dressing on top, and then right before you get ready to serve, toss it again. You think you need a little bit more, then you can add some at the last minute. All right, so now we're on to the zucchini and squash strudel. And I don't know about you, but I get so tired of calling everything a casserole. You know, there's something about that word that people think that you just dump, dump, dump. So there's something more sophisticated about strudel, and I think this would be awesome on a brunch menu, but tonight we're doing it for a light supper or a luncheon. So I want to first start with the zucchini and the yellow squash that goes in it, and it calls for it to be grated. Now, you may think, why in the world is she using this hand grater and not the food processor? Well, there's no way that the food processor is going to make it look like this. And that's what you're trying to accomplish, is some really nicely grated hunks of that vegetable. So I went ahead and got that done ahead, and I've separated it. It's just such a vibrant color, so pretty, nice and shredded. I've salted this down. So now I'm going to clear this area off so I can show you how we're going to get it all mixed in together for the inside of the strudel. Okay, so what all goes in it besides the zucchini and the yellow squash is 4 beaten eggs. I've got 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped parsley. Then we've got a half a teaspoon of grated garlic. We have some finely chopped onion, about a tablespoon. And then another unusual ingredient you might not have thought of is dill, and that's a half a teaspoon. We're going to add a little bit of ground fresh pepper, 4 ounces of feta cheese, and then I'm just going to stir this together. And now I'm going to start with the hand process here with my squash. You want to try to squeeze as much of the juice out of this as possible. We salted it down for a couple of reasons. First of all, that really gets the salt saturated into the vegetable, but it also almost adds a little bit of crunch to it. So it's very important that so the strudel won't be runny, that you try to get as much of that out as possible. So I've just put the colander inside of another clear bowl, and I'm just squeezing all of that liquid out. You know, this time of the year, I get so tired of the same old vegetable side dishes, and this one really is unusual, not to mention the fact that it just sounds really pretty on a menu. Okay, so that should be good there. Now we're just going to mix this up, and I've already greased my casserole dish, and this is actually kind of an unusual side. It's an 8 by 11.5. So just mix it really well. And I love the feta in this too, as opposed to just the sharp cheddar cheese. All right, so I'm going to pour all of this in. And we just want to evenly spread it in the pan. And now we're going to get started on the phyllo dough. And the phyllo dough, if you've not worked with it, is almost as thin as paper. It is just painfully thin, as a matter of fact. But I don't want you to be scared of it. You can buy it in the frozen food department. I'm going to put down another piece of wax paper on top of the cutting board. And then I went ahead and pulled it apart. So the phyllo is almost like paper. And that's where the melted butter comes in, is you're going to just take your pastry brush, and this is going to be a layered thing. So we're going to do 5 or 6 layers of this wonderful phyllo, and that's what makes it a strudel, is that all of these pieces will bake up and puff up in layers when you bake it. So I'm going to keep doing all of this layering and buttering, and when we come back from the break, I'm going to get started on that new ham casserole dish that's going to be your go-to, especially this time of year. So come back with us in just a few minutes. All right, let's talk about barware, whether you're circulating at a cocktail party or whether you've been served a drink or a glass of wine at dinner. If it's a old-fashioned glass, which might probably have a mixed drink in it, first of all, you want to make sure when you hand it to your guest that you have a cocktail napkin under it. This way the guests can use it to wipe their mouth. They can keep the glass from sweating if they go to put it down on a table that doesn't have a coaster. It's just always appropriate to serve that with a cocktail napkin. If you're having white wine, which of course is chilled, if it's a stem glass, you hold it by the stem. That way the bulb of the glass is not getting warm with the warmth of your hand, just taking that temperature down. So you want to keep the nice wine very cold while you're drinking it. And then finally, red wine served at room temperature, you can hold it like this if you like, because it's not going to change the temperature of the wine. But again, just remember to give them that napkin to use when you serve a drink. Hey, welcome back. And while we were away during the break, I finished that wonderful squash strudel. So I took the phyllo, kept buttering it, just added layers to the pan. And then the secret to this recipe is that you want to score it in your serving sizes before it goes in the oven. That way when it's done, it easily lifts out of the pan. All right, it's in a 350-degree oven for about 40 minutes. And now we're going to get started on the ham and asparagus casserole. So this recipe is so old, it uses canned soup and canned asparagus, and what we're doing is updating it just a little bit. So I went ahead and took some fresh asparagus, which is so wonderful this time of year, and I've gotten it just fork tender. So now it was just in a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of salt. I'm just going to drain that out on some paper towels. Now, that leftover ham, you know, that I was talking about, I've chopped it up. So this is about 2 cups of chopped ham. And I've got that in a saute pan. And I'm going to add to that the small little 5-ounce can of evaporated milk. I'm going to do 2 cups of cooked rice. And you can use whatever kind of rice you want. This is a multi-grain rice. It's got some little wild rice seeds in it. It's going to be really good. Then I've got a cup of sharp cheddar cheese, and then a can of cream of mushroom soup. And all we're doing here is getting this heated through. And I'm going to add a half a can of just water to that. And then about 2 tablespoons of chopped up Vidalia onion. So I've got this on a medium heat, and all we're doing at this point is just getting this blended really well. And this is such a great dish. Again, when you have just a little bit of ham left over, this is actually a ham steak. So even if you didn't have ham, 1 whole ham steak is what I used in this recipe. All right, I've already sprayed my pan, and this is like a 2-quart casserole size. So I'm going to put half of this mixture in the pan. All right, and then I'm going to take half of the fresh asparagus mixture. And this is just fork tender. And isn't it just so pretty and green when you don't cook it to death? All right, now I've got 2 hard-cooked eggs chopped. I'm going to put 1 down, and then the rest of the asparagus. And like I said, this will be something really different. This would be great for a brunch, you know, to go, because it's got eggs in it, it's got ham in it. Asparagus would be wonderful, that and the fruit salad that we've already done. So these are some really new things to do. And then the rest of the chopped egg. And now the balance of your ham mixture. And you could use any kind of cheese you wanted. And this is just sharp cheddar. All right, I'm going to spread that about. Top it with some seasoned cornbread stuffing. And this is going to go in that same 350-degree oven for 30 minutes or until it's nice and bubbly. And you can even pat some butter on the top if you like. So there you go, quick and easy, summery, springy, any type of meal, supper or brunch or lunch. So come back with us after the break and we are going to start setting the most unbelievable table setting. So you don't want to miss it. Come back with us in just a few minutes. Hey, welcome back, and I've had the best time tonight putting together what I think is a wonderful spring or summer supper, or you could use it for a luncheon or a brunch. So these recipes, I hope you'll look for them at NBC26.tv. I want you to try them. They're all easy and delicious. My favorite part of entertaining is setting the table, so let's walk through how I got the table set tonight. I started with the charger plate. I then came and added a dinner plate. The silverware goes next with the dinner knife on the right, blade facing in, and the fork on the left. The napkin goes to the left of the fork with the fold on the outside. The ice water goblet goes directly above the knife, and then last but not least are the beautiful flowers in the center and our place card holders in front of each plate. So now let's get this plate finished. I've plated the other 3, so now the last one. I'm using a Bibb lettuce leaf as my vessel for the fruit, and as you can see, the fruit salad is so colorful, and the dressing has marinated it so well. This is going to be a really refreshing part of this meal. I don't think anybody would shy away from beautifully prepared fruit. The star fruit is going to go right in the center. And then the main dish you want to put right in front of you. So I want to make sure that plenty of the ham is showing through. You've got the egg that's showing through, the nice asparagus, the chunks of rice. So you don't want to overpower the plate so that the beautiful plate shows through. And then last would be our squash strudel. And as you can see, the layers of that turned out so well. Just a beautiful plate. So now let's walk over and put the last plate on the table. Oh, it's so pretty. And as you can see, we used a lot of different color combinations tonight, which is another thing that I want to encourage you to do. Everything doesn't have to match. It's fun to mix things up. Maybe you've got two different grandmothers with two sets of china that you inherited, but this is beautiful. Ann Weatherby from Three Monkeys in Aiken, and the Simon Pierce glasses that are so attractive. Beautiful. And I also want to remind you that they've started doing beautiful invitations. So if you're having something that's a little bit more on the formal side, that you want to put together a beautiful invitation, they're always happy to help you with that. Three Monkeys, wonderful. Flowers on Broad. The flowers are just absolutely gorgeous tonight. You know, when you have this sort of an event, something like this where you can get the fruit done ahead, the strudel can be done the day before, just leave that last 10 minutes of baking off so you can put it in the oven and get that phyllo just nice and crisp on the top. And then the ham and asparagus casserole can also be done, cooked almost all the way through and then heated. And that warming drawer, if you're remodeling a kitchen, that's one piece of equipment that I highly recommend. So as you can see, we're ready to enjoy something immediately after church or in the early evening. This would be great outside on your patio. So as I always say, no matter what you do it in good taste. And just remember, come back and join me again next Saturday for another episode of the Very Vera Show.